Hey there everyone, what's up? Back today with another impressions video, and today we are going to be talking about Devil Survivor 2 Break Record, or Record Breaker as it will be known in English when it's released. Um, this shouldn't be a long video because I'm not going to talk about the main game of Devil Survivor 2. I've already talked about it in a separate video, whatever, 2.5 years ago or whenever it came out here. And yeah, I'm not going to rehash that. But I will say that the only differences really between Devil Survivor 2, the main story, and the Devil Survivor 2 main story in this game is that it's fully voice acted. Beyond that, it's pretty much the same. There's not much more to say about it than what I've already said. So if you're interested in the main game, you haven't played Devil Survivor 2 already, check out my other video where I talk about Devil Survivor 2. But this is Break Record, and we're going to be talking about the new Break Record content. And the new Break Record content is probably what most people want to hear about anyway, because if you've already played Devil Survivor 2, the main thing you're wondering right now is, should I get Break Record? Is it worth buying if I already played the original game? So I will attempt to answer that in this video. Excuse my hoodie. It's actually pretty cold here. Whatever, not important. It's raining outside, it's cold, and I woke up recently, so it's not, I'm just looking this way. But I'm not worried about it. Today we're talking about Devil Survivor, and yeah, Devil Survivor 2. Let's talk about the new content. There are, there's new music, new character, and a new scenario. And this is important because, unlike the way that new content was added in, like, Persona 4 The Golden, where they just kind of interlace the whole ton of new content throughout the original story, this game doesn't do that. It adds an entirely new scenario, which is like playing essentially Devil Survivor 2-2. It's not like a it's like a shorter version of another, like, alternate world version of the game, I guess is what you could say. So, when it comes down to it, this is a new scenario with the same characters. It's a continuation of the other scenario, actually. So if you've played the original game, you could hop right into the new scenario, and there'll be lots of throwbacks, like callbacks to the original game. So the characters are the same, and they remember things from the first scenario, and just they're in a kind of different world. So there are things that are different in the world from the original story. And it makes sense in the story. I'm not going to ruin it for you, why everything is different. But yeah, you have all that stuff going on, and you've got all these same characters, and you meet them differently, and you fight different bosses, you fight different scenarios. It's an entirely different story. So, is it worth buying the game again for? Yeah, I'd say so. It's not short. It's not a short scenario. It's not like an extra 10-hour scenario. It took me about 30 hours to beat the new scenario, so that's almost like an entirely new game. Like I said, Devil Survivor 2-2. So, my total play time for this version, including the original scenario, is about 80 hours. So that's, like, I went through the entire original scenario, and then I went through the entire new content. And it took me about 80 hours. So 30 hours of that was the new content. And the new content has mostly the same stuff. I mean, there's not really a lot of new demons. I think there's like 4, maybe 5 new demons total. Beyond that, there's a bunch of new bosses. There's like you have the kind of daily bosses in the game. And they're in there. They're new. They're completely new. You don't fight the old bosses again. They don't show up. The scenario is a different story, so you have some different characters. And the characters from the previous story are in there, and they act differently in some cases. So it's an interesting story, and you do have social links again. The social links kind of not worth anything in the extra content, and it is not that's not entirely true because getting the social links does give you benefits in the story, like you can unlock stronger demons in some cases, or you can get kind of resistances for your characters. But in the original scenario, the social links gave you certain things like had to be met for there to be you know a good to get the best ending. You had to get social links past a certain level to even keep the characters in your party after a certain point in the story. Whereas in this one, like, it doesn't seem to matter. I got most characters actually got up to level 5, but there was one character I got only to level 3, and they just stopped showing up, like, in the story. So, like, whatever my choices were not the best, apparently, to get the social link level up. But after that, like, the character stopped showing up, and it just stayed at 3 for the rest of the game. And what happened was, in the previous game, if you were at 3 or below, that character would not fight with you in the final battle. They would leave. And that didn't happen in this game. It just, everybody was like gung-ho, ready to go, whatever you chose. So the social links didn't really matter if you got them to the highest rank or not. So I spent like a ton of time like trying to get them all maxed. And I got like virtually everybody maxed except one character. And it didn't really matter because that one character didn't still joined in anyway. So it was kind of like there to expand a story for the characters, which is nice. I mean, you do get the story from those other characters, but you don't get like a real tangible benefit to the story for getting those social links up like you did in the first game. So that's kind of a downside, but it's a minor one in the sense that like it still does flesh out the characters more by bringing up the social links. So yeah. What else do I want to say? There's a few new music tracks. My version came with the disc, so it's got like a 4-track CD that came with it. So that was a pre-order bonus. I don't know if that's coming for you guys, but I assume it will be because it makes sense. There aren't, like I said, there aren't a lot of new demons. There aren't a lot of new skills. It is essentially like playing a new scenario in the old game. There are some new animations and things in the game which look really nice actually, and they're you can actually put them in 3D, which is like all right, I guess. I didn't really use it. I never use a 3D on the 3DS for the most part. I usually turn it on to like see what it looks like, and then I'm just like crying for days because of the headache I get. But yeah, Devil Survivor 2 overall, it's definitely worth buying if you already played the first game. If you haven't played the first game though, it's a must buy. You have to buy it because it's better than the first game. It's got a lot of content. I mean, the first game alone on the DS is worth buying if you haven't played any of them. But if this game is obviously updated because it has voice acting, and it's got a whole new scenario. So if you get it and you like the original scenario, you'll want to play the continuation. So yeah, it's really good. The only other thing I can think of that people might want to know about is that, like, if you played if you're like me and you played the game 2.5 years ago or whatever, and you're just like, I don't really remember the story all that well. Is there like a recap, or am I going to have to replay through the entire game? Well, actually, there's a recap in the beginning. So like when you choose like who your avatar will be on your for the devil summoning program, they'll ask you if you want a recap of what happened in the previous game, and it gives you a recap of one of the endings, which is probably the most difficult ending, I guess, which is, I guess, the canon ending, because that's what they decided it was. But it was actually the main ending that I went for anyway when I did the replay. So I actually replayed through it again, but it wasn't really necessary. But it was it was useful in the sense that I got to, more clearly remember the things that had changed in the new scenario. So there's that. Um, yeah, so overall, get it. It's a good game. Definitely get it if you haven't played Devil Survivor 2 yet. But even if you have played Devil Survivor 2, it's worth getting because it's like another 30-hour game in the same world with the same characters and the same system. If you liked Devil Survivor 2, you'll want Devil Survivor 2 Break Record because it's more of the same with obviously expanded story and characters. So that's about it. Yeah, I will catch you guys whenever I feel like making videos again. So yeah, see you then.